Hi, my name is Julie Strauss, and I am the PM Director for the Power Platform Developer and Admin Experiences. We will be spending the next 30 minutes together discussing how the Power Platform can accelerate your digital transformation efforts and how the platform offers an efficient approach for teams to build apps together. To get grounded, in case we have new people in the audience, we will quickly cover the services that make up the Power Platform and why you, as pro developers, should care about the Power Platform. We have a lot of new capabilities to cover and, of course, a few demos. If you look at the Power Platform, we are really talking about 4 products. First, we have Power BI, which is a low-code way to analyze, explore, and visualize your enterprise data. Then we have Power Apps, which is our low-code approach for building web and mobile applications. And this is really where we're going to be spending a lot of time today. We also have Power Automate, our low-code approach to deliver workflow and robotic process automation. And then last but not least, we have Power Virtual Agents, which is our no-code approach to building chatbots and conversational agents. The key to deliver low-code approach in Microsoft is that we empower every type of developer to go faster, whether you're a business user, a pro developer, or an IT professional. And we will obviously allow each type of developer to work on their own, and of course in the tool of your choice. However, the real accelerated value comes to life when there's collaboration across these personas. And it is when these multidisciplinary teams come together that you can truly scale. And so you can ask, why do I need to scale? Well, likely, I don't really need to tell you, I suspect that you're already feeling the pressure of what we think of as the app gap challenge. The world is changing, and there's just an unprecedented demand for driving digital transformation, for delivering apps faster. And if the current pressure isn't enough, over the next 5 years, more than 500 million apps and services will be developed and deployed. The demand for business applications is greater than ever, growing 5 times faster than IT departments really can deliver. With this increasing digital demand, it's no wonder that 86% of organizations struggle to find the right technical talent. But rest assured, the Power Platform can help you scale. And we will allow you to extend your development potential, not only because you can deliver apps faster yourself, if you choose to quickly add a Power Apps UI experience on top of your code-first backend, but also because you have the opportunity to collaborate with the business, with the citizen developers in your organizations, where bringing it back to this notion of fusion teams, you can tap into this unharnessed talent pool of non-technical app developers. So as pro developers, you might choose to focus on this smaller number of very strategic apps requiring your unique coding skills, but then enable the citizen developers to drive digital transformation by tracking this long tail of applications. You are now really playing a key role in your organization's digital transformation, driving significant business impact. So, where and why would you use low-code or Power Apps? Well, there are many reasons. Today, we will focus on the key opportunities for accelerating UI as well as business process development. How, you may ask? Well, using low-code simply means you can build apps faster, not only because you have drag-and-drop capabilities, but you also have built-in code components that you can just pick from, saving you a lot of time, saving you repeatable tasks, and sparing you to rewrite the same code over and over again. The common database schema that we ship out of the box with Dataverse offers also predefined schemas for standard business entities or tables. That not only greatly reduce your effort to define and build your database schema, but also effortlessly drive schema consistency across all business apps in your organizations, eliminating tedious data mapping exercises later on. It also lets you leverage capabilities where you may not be an expert, such as AI, which you can infuse into your apps without having to have a degree in machine learning. Additionally, Power Apps offers a responsive UI where you build once and deploy apps in a single click across iOS, Android, Windows, as well as the web. That is what you get out of the box. In addition to that, Power Platform offers a rich extensibility model where essentially you can build any custom code component you want. That can be custom UX controls or even existing React controls you may have built for some other app that you want to make available for Power Apps. You can also extend connectivity to any SaaS service, any Azure service, or even legacy systems. More importantly, we treat that custom control you have built or custom component and bring it in as a first-class component across the entire platform, in our designers, in our packaging system, in our build tools, and our players. It fits right in. So whether an app is built by you or by a citizen developer, you as a pro developer can easily extend it with fully customized, reusable component. And of course, all of this is done using the built-in support for the command line interface, our CLI, or now also using Visual Studio Code. In addition to the 450 or more connectors we offer out of the box, including SAP, ServiceNow, Workday, and Salesforce, you can build your own custom connectors over any REST endpoint. Here, our deep integration with Azure API management allows you to have a single location where you can manage all your organization's APIs and seamlessly push those APIs into the Power Platform for broad consumption. Enough talk, let's move on to some demos. T-Mobile citizen and pro developers work together to create the T-Mobile Orbit app that helps T-Mobile employees ideate, track, and execute on new marketing initiatives. The Orbit app is currently used by 40,000 employees and has handled more than 3,500 marketing initiatives. And what we want to show next is how apps and components built by either pro or citizen developers in a low-code UI, Power Apps can really be managed in source control like any other code-first development project. To illustrate this, let's first take a look at our Power Platform environment where we have all our solutions available. Everything in our low-code environment is contained as something we call solutions. You can think about this as application metadata that essentially contains everything the platform needs to run our apps. What we want to do is pull out the solution containing our Orbit app and then get it into source control so our source code becomes the ultimate truth. So let's head over to GitHub, where we have set up a GitHub workflow using the recently announced GitHub Actions for Power Platform. And here we have a pretty empty repo, except for the YAML file that uses the GitHub Actions for Power Platform that we'll use in this demo. Heading over to GitHub Actions, these YAML files are essentially all we need to define our workflow. In this example, we have set up a workflow to export a branch and a solution so the developer can review the changes from the low-code project and approve the changes through regular PR loop. For illustration purposes, I will trigger the workflow manually, but in real life, this typically will be set up to happen automatically whenever an update from a developer is available. While this runs, I'll explain some of the actions here. We validate that we are connected to an environment. We export our metadata. We unpack it to a source and a human-readable format. And then finally, we prepare a branch with our changes ready for review. And when this is done, we can go back to our repo and take a look and see how our app is now shown in the repo. Let's switch gears and take a look at our new VS Code extension. After cloning the code repository, I'm going to look at the rendered application in my favorite code editor, VS Code. As soon as I start up VS Code, Power Platform CLI gets registered and is ready to use. With this new capability, we are announcing in preview here at Build and will be available for both Windows and Mac. Yes, developers can now interact with Power Platform on their favorite desktop environment. The extension allows code-first developers to interact with the platform in the context of the development environment. What that allows us to do is to go into our terminal interface, and just like using the Power Platform CLI standalone, we can now go ahead and use the CLI commands here in VS Code. Here's an example of a new capability we are releasing that allows us to unpack and pack low-code apps in a source code-friendly manner. As we unpack the .ms app, it creates a folder with that same directory. Now let's go into the Canvas app source and explore it a little bit. Here you can see how developers now are able to view the Canvas artifacts, such as functions and screen designs, in a code-first friendly way and in a format that is readable to the human eye as well as source control systems. As we expand that folder, you will now see that all the different files that constitute your app. But that's not all. Let's take a look at the CLI in more detail. Here's an example we introduced recently, which is a set of admin commands. This is a new capability that allows developers to create, delete, backup, copy, restore, and list environments through CI/CD pipelines in order to deploy not only the apps, but also the resources hosted in the apps in a repeatable, automated manner. But it doesn't stop there. You can now also download and upload content for your Power Portals through the CLI with a similar experience in VS Code that we just showed. And finally, we are also really excited about our new simplified process to package creation for developers. Instead of manually having to construct a package, manipulate files, we now have just 4 commands which will help you simplify that entire process. To illustrate this, I have a solution folder here that is rendered in a source code friendly way in my code repository called orbit-det. As you can see, it looks and behaves as the code-friendly project structure for the solution. From here, we will go into a new folder and initialize a package. A package in Power Platform can have one or more solutions that can be deployed together. So now, after initializing, the package folder now has code-friendly structure. And now we can add the Orbit solution to the package by simply adding it as a reference. Remember that in the past, all of this required installing Visual Studio and manually updating XML files. Now, after adding the reference, I can use standard developer-friendly commands to build this project. And here we are going to use the MS build to create our package artifact that allow you to go and deploy the Power Platform environment. It is so simple and very convenient, and finally, it is all across the Power Platform. Let's recap some of these new capabilities as well as cover some additional new exciting announcements. First of all, you saw the new CLI enhancements in action, where we are actually greatly simplifying the package deployment process for developers. In the past, both the packaging as well as the deployment required you to call in a variety of other tooling. Moving forward, the CLI will have a simple new subcommand called package. In this way, we're eliminating the myriad of tools required to develop, package, and deploy code-first components on the Power Platform and giving you a single CLI. To set context, the Power Platform command line interface, our CLI, was our first iteration of our journey to redesign our ProDev tooling story for the Power Platform. Now we are taking that next step in the journey, bringing these capabilities directly into the code-first experience for developers. And this is where we are announcing that we will be releasing Visual Studio Code extensions to the Power Platform. We are also excited to announce a new Visual Studio Code extension for Power Apps portals, which adds the capability to configure portals using VS Code. This includes support for the built-in liquid language IntelliSense, providing assistance with code completion, assistance, and hinting while customizing portals interface using VS Code. In addition to the VS Code capabilities, the Visual Studio team has also been actively working on improving the API publishing experience for pro developers from Visual Studio. In the past, developers building APIs would have to go outside of their developer environment after publishing their API to Azure to register their API in Azure API Management. We have now made those improvements to simplify the process and provide the ability to publish the API and register in API management directly from within Visual Studio. This feature will be available for preview in June. As you saw in the demo, this combined with the seamless integration we enable from API management to Power Platform that we announced 6 months ago really complete that full end-to-end experience going from Visual Studio through Azure into Power Platform. One Microsoft Cloud. As some of you may already know, we have a Center of Excellence Starter Kit, which is our way to deliver capabilities to you using our own low-code platform much faster than we can deliver using Code First. Very topical. With the Center of Excellence Starter Kit, we have built experiences that are empowering pro and citizen developers to participate in the application lifecycle management. We are enabling this with out-of-the-box Azure DevOps pipelines and GitHub workflow templates to support the DevOps cycle with Dataverse solutions. And this is accompanied with UI delivered through Power Apps. The accelerators will be open source and available with the new Center of Excellence Starter Kit in the GitHub repo. For the UI experience, we are releasing 2 supporting Power Apps. One app is for developers and advanced makers that are already familiar with GitHub and Git concepts, as well as Azure DevOps. This app is intended to provide a convenient way to drive the outer loop, allowing you to manage all Power Platform solutions in a single location. It enables you to commit to Git branches, submit pull requests, and deploy specific builds to a dev environment while surfacing status of those activities. Another app is designed for citizen developers in mind and is intended to allow users who are not familiar with any DevOps concepts to still participate and do that seamlessly without having to learn anything new. They can simply use this very intuitive app interface to initiate an action, such as requesting a new environment, or later push a tested app into production with just a few clicks. So this is really another great example of how you can scale your app development process through Fusion teams, yet adhere to your standard software development lifecycle processes. The Git repo is already active and the apps will be ready by build. Switching gears, we are excited to also announce that any developer now can build and certify Power Platform connectors. With this capability to build a connector over any data source, any developer will now be able to submit a connector as what we call an independent publisher connector. You can do this through our GitHub repository, where you will find an independent publisher connector folder. Independent publisher connectors will undergo the same validation process as certified connectors will, and will surface directly within Power Platform products, beginning with Power Automate in preview right here at Build. This next announcement is something that I am super passionate about, and it's not a feature. It is our investments in learning content. To support those of you who want to learn in depth, we are now offering new ways for you as developers to engage with your citizen developer counterparts through our new Fusion Dev Learning Path and the associated Fusion Dev ebook. For devs seeking new ways to build and test with low code, where we're introducing a new Power App developer plan and a new Power Platform dev plan to learn and build as Microsoft 365 developers. Now to another very exciting topic, AI-assisted development. As you can see here, there's actually a surprisingly long history with AI being used in apps. But we believe it's really about to take off big time in a new way to help accelerate app development and usage for everyone. Microsoft will enable this by bringing in AI to the Power Platform app creation. In September last year, Microsoft announced that we have licensed use of GPT-3, an auto-regressive language model that uses deep learning to produce human-like text. We are now infusing GPT-3 into the Power Platform. And we are very excited to share with you that for the first time in a commercially available product, developers can now use natural language to generate Power Apps formulas. Developers can describe their goal, which then will be transformed for them into PowerFX, the Power Platform formula language using AI. So if you're a citizen developer using Power Apps, this means that you can quickly unlock the power of formulas by entering natural language phrases. If you're a pro developer using Power Apps, this means you can increase productivity by speeding up formula authoring, reducing the time spent for searching, writing, and fixing formulas. The GPT-3 capabilities will first be supported in gallery and data tables and will then expand into more controls and formulas based on what feedback we're getting from users. And as you will see here in the video in a bit, the developer will simply provide an input, and based on that context, GPT-3 generates a list of the most relevant PowerFX formulas for the developer to pick from and use. And here you can see an example in action where an e-commerce company is aiming to easily track orders and deliverables. They want to display all orders of their outdoor products, which is exactly what the developers enter in as an input. Find product where name starts with outdoors. And voila, they get back the written formula. You can generate natural language from formula, and the value here is to be completely transparent with you as a developer on what the output means, so that you have the full knowledge to make decisions on whether or not to apply AI in the generated output. So if we take a look at this experience in practice, makers click on the Idea tab and we'll see a text box for them to type into. Makers type in their thoughts in plain English and text, and Power Apps will provide formula suggestions with natural language explanations for the developer to pick from. By clicking on that pane, you will see a text box for you to type in your explanation and the formula in natural language. Based on your input and the context from your app, like which tables you have, controls you have on the screen, GPT-3 will generate a list of the most relevant PowerFX formulas that may address your business needs. Here's an example where an education organization would like to reformat their data to show full list of names accompanied by last name initial. They use John S. as input, and the output is auto-generated. Super cool stuff. Let's have Clay show us some of this in action.
Thanks, Julie. Let's take a look at how we can use AI and GPT-3 to simplify and accelerate app development. We're going to start in the Power Apps Studio and keep working on the T-Mobile Orbit app you saw earlier. As you can see, I've already started by dropping some simple controls onto the screen and our app logo. It's time to get some data connected. Let's click on the gallery and connect to a data source. I could connect to one of our 400 plus connectors, but I'm going to connect to the initiatives table in Microsoft Dataverse. Now that I've got my data connected, I want to connect the search box on the top right-hand side of the screen so I can find initiatives quickly by their name. If I was going to do this normally, first I'd need to know how to do it, and then I'd need to write a PowerFX formula to filter the contents of the gallery and the initiatives dataset by the text in the search box. Now instead, what I can do is describe what I'm trying to do in natural language, and Power Apps will use AI and the GPT-3 model to provide the right code for me to build my app. Let's have a look at it in action. I'm going to come over here to the Ideas tab and simply type in exactly what I'm trying to do. Search initiatives by the search box using initiative name. Now we're using the GPT-3 model to review the natural language and present back potential options. And you'll see an explanation of what the code will do. Show initiatives where the text in search box appears in the initiative name, and the actual code that will be used underneath. This helps you make sure that your ask has been correctly understood and choose correctly if there are multiple options. In this case, the option is correct, so all I have to do is click and it's applied to my gallery. That's it. My gallery and the search box have been connected, and you can see the code is now in my app. I can now preview the app, and the search is working as expected, and I can quickly find promos and webinars are filtered in my dataset. AI-assisted development and GPT-3 allows developers to reduce their learning time and increase productivity by using natural language while building Power Apps.
Fabulous, Clay. Thank you. We just saw how PowerFX will benefit from our GPT-3 investments. But we have some more news about PowerFX. Later this summer, you will start to see PowerFX extend to more areas of Power Apps as well as beyond Power Apps. Inside Power Apps, PowerFX will extend to model-driven apps. Today, makers writing JavaScript can create commands in model-driven apps. These scripts can be large, complex, and hard to maintain. But by extending PowerFX to model-driven commanding, we will essentially allow you for a seamless, consistent, and very simplified app development experience within Power Apps. Additionally, PowerFX will take its next step outside Power Apps into Microsoft Dataverse, where it will be extended to Dataverse calculated columns as a way for users to manipulate and manage their data. The Excel-like formula bar from Power Apps is extended into Dataverse and into Dataverse calculated columns. And so this is a significant step towards realizing our vision of PowerFX being the consistent language for our Power Platform. As we open source PowerFX, organizations like Acumatica, a local Seattle company, can leverage this language in their development process. And this will greatly extend the usage of PowerFX. And you can imagine how PowerFX can really become that low-code formula language for everyone, everywhere. That is all available today. But there's no proper build session without a sneak peek into the future. So let's take a quick look at how AI-assisted development will help creators in Power BI be more productive in the future. DAX is an expression language used to define calculations in Power BI. And these formulas can range from really simple to formulas which have over 100 lines of code. And every Power BI user would agree that harnessing the power of DAX would create limitless opportunities for them to build visualizations. However, too often, the learning curve is incredibly steep, and users spend hours or even days to get to the right DAX calculation they need for their analytics. Now, with the power of GPT-3, we have the opportunity to provide a natural language experience used to define DAX as well. Let's take a look at how this might look like.
Thanks, Julie. Now let's take a look at how AI and GPT-3 is going to help in analytics. In this report, I have this visual that's measuring inspections for each day, but you'll notice that this time series is quite noisy, which makes it hard to see the trend for inspections that had issues and inspections that were okay. To help smooth out the noise, I would need to create a DAX measure to calculate a rolling average of inspections. However, I'm not super confident in my DAX skills, nor do I want to spend a ton of time learning DAX. Thankfully, Power BI can create the measure for me in a no-code, AI-powered experience called Easy Measures. Easy Measures enables creators to use natural language instead of DAX to create brand new measures. Let's see it in action. In the Easy Measures pane, I start by typing in rolling 10-day average of inspections, and then I'll click Submit. Almost instantly, the AI engine powered by GPT-3 has generated the DAX measure that I was looking for. As you can see, the results include a preview of the measure along with the full DAX calculation. We can also see that GPT-3 has provided an alternative measure for the rolling 10-day average of inspection scores. So now that I have the measure that I wanted, I can remove the old measure from that problematic visual, and I can drag and drop this new measure directly onto the visual. With this new rolling average measure, the trend becomes way more obvious. We see that inspections with OK results have been trending downward over time, but inspections with issues do not follow the same downward trend. Without this natural language to DAX capability, I wouldn't have been able to generate and analyze a complex measure so quickly and easily. Easy Measures, powered by AI and GPT-3, are planned to be released later this year, and we hope it helps all creators harness the power of DAX.
And that's it. 30 minutes fly by really fast, but I hope you got a good feel for what Power Platform has to offer to pro developers and how you, by embracing this notion of Fusion Team, can deliver more apps faster. And hopefully we inspired you to go learn more with some of these great training resources. Thank you, everyone.